Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Terry Ruch, and this is Serious Automotive Training. Welcome back to another great module of mine. We're all the way up to number 15 for Pennsylvania Motor Vehicle Safety Inspection. Also for great help for Pennsylvania Motor Vehicle Safety Inspection Recertification, which is available now on the PA Training Portal. So my information comes directly from the Department of Motor Vehicle website, from prior instructor clinics, or from classes that I've previously taught over the years for Pennsylvania Motor Vehicle Safety Inspection. So, if you have any questions for me, email me, SeriusAutoTraining@yahoo.com. You could also reply to me on YouTube, or just give me a shout out on LinkedIn at terry.ruch. So, we're up to subchapter E, and we're following up on page 36 in the inspection procedure. So, publication 45, subchapter E. We're going to talk today about glazing, window tint, and we're also going to talk about the MV402 form. We're also going to talk about the American National Standard for glazing. We're also going to talk about 4 different bulletins I have listed here, going all the way back to October of 1985. So let's start with the easy stuff here today. Let's talk about window tint. Pennsylvania currently, for motor vehicle safety inspection, we do not check for window tint. Window tint is rated. There's a rating for it. So currently, Pennsylvania motor vehicle safety inspection mechanics do not have to check a vehicle or fail a vehicle that has window tint. So according to the inspection procedure, don't forget, we're only rejecting vehicles for the inspection procedure section, not the required equipment. So in this case, absolutely the police could cite you. It's required equipment. Window tint is illegal to a certain percent. Inspection procedure, we do not touch that. Okay? We may a little bit, but I'll get to that in a second. So real important, they talk about a form here. The form MV402. This is important for you to know for your customer. The 402 form is the application for a sun screening certificate of exemption. So it's a 2-part form. It could be for medical reasons that the customer would be eligible for window tint, or the vehicle could be that old and they've had it since prior to September of '84. So in that case, they could apply for permanent sun screening exemption. So let's you're aware it's MV402. So as long as I'm talking about that, let me throw something else at you here. In the back of our book in publication 45, we have subchapter O. This has been added to the book all the way back in, I believe, 96. So the purpose of subchapter O is to make the customer familiar with the exemptions or the requirements that are put out in this book for sunscreening. So again, the inspection mechanic, we don't touch that other than one thing. So let's start here with our changes. We had some information I mentioned to you. So let's start with the bulletin from 96. This hasn't changed. It's amended to the motor vehicle section. For law enforcement, they added a table 10. So in the inspection book, there's a table that gives you the requirements for the sunscreening. This is in the back of your publication 45. It's table 10. So it gives you the requirements for the amount of levels that the sun could pass through. So you can see everything is at 70%. Other than if you have a truck, multi-purpose passenger vehicle, like my Hummer H2 truck, it's no requirement for the rear windows or the rear window. So again, this is only for the customer. This isn't for PA motor vehicle safety inspection rejectable items. So let me read it to you here. Vehicle sunscreening products such as those applied to the existing windows of a vehicle are no longer part of the inspection criteria and are not cause for rejection. So there's black and white from 96. It hasn't changed. Don't fail anything for window tint. Table 10, law enforcement, they have the light meter so they can check your vehicle for window tint. And again, at the back of the book, subchapter O, it tells you it was established for vehicle owners wishing to obtain a certificate of exemption, and I showed you the form, the 402. So let's jump right in here to some glazing information. We're going to go over a couple definitions, hit right on the explanation of glazing, which is just a big fat word for glass. Okay, so let's start with our window. The two things that we want to talk about, and I believe we covered these in our definitions, the critical area and the acute area. So let me grab my windshield here. I have a windshield, front windshield. So for the wiper sweep, you can see the green area. That is your critical area. So that area doesn't move. The wipers will clean that area, stays there the same. Now the acute area does move. But what you got to understand is the acute area is an area that's measured 8.5 by 5.5. Now that could move because that's in the driver's line of vision for the road. So some drivers are 6'8", some are 5'8", so that moves. So if you're not familiar with 8.5 by 5.5, take a section of those old publication 45s. I have about 50 of them laying around. One page, fold it in half. There is your acute area, 8.5 by 5.5. And again, you can put that right on the windshield to check that area. Now, what's important to remember is in this acute area, you cannot have any stone chips, any blurs, any blems, and anything in that area. It has to be crystal clear. So, we went over the critical area, we went acute area. Another word here I want to throw at you, rigid plastic. All the glass in the vehicle has to be safety glass. So, if we go into the back of our book, again, we look at table number 7. It'll list the different requirements or the AS rating for the different parts of the vehicle. So, just a quick one to throw at you. AS1 for a windshield or AS10 is the only thing that front windshields are allowed to have for a rating. If you can't, it's an AS1 is usually in the top corner. It's labeled in a little white mark. We also call it a tick mark. AS10 is bulletproof windshield. So you do see them. BMWs have tons of them. They were bulletproof windshield. I worked on lots of them in Baghdad. So you may see one here. So rigid plastic, just remember that definition. When we get into recreational trailers, we'll talk more about that. Stone chips. You could have a stone chip inside of the critical area. So you can have a stone chip right here. It's not in the acute area. What you need to be as concerned with, as long as that stone chip isn't causing that wiper blade to rip, it passes, okay? And don't forget, if you got a left-hand drive vehicle, now that acute area is on the other side. So if you got the mail delivery Jeep, or for whatever reason someone has a left-handed drive vehicle, hey, I don't know. So let's clean sweep strips. Two things I want to throw at you here. You'll probably never see these, but hey, you heard it from me. Clean sweep strips, and what they are is they're transparent projections which are self-adhering to the windshield. So they stick these clean street strips on and they clean the window. They're legal. So the bulletin, February 92. I also want to talk about windshield grooves. I haven't seen this much. You go to the junkyard, you might see it. They groove a windshield on the bottom so that the position just underneath the wiper blade, it's designed to clear the dirt off. They're only 0.005 of an inch deep. So hey, two bulletins, one from July of '88 and one from February '92. Those are legal. Plastic coated windshields, hey, they're still out there. October of '85, I worked on a lot of Buicks, a lot of Olds Tornados that had plastic coated windshields. It's very easy to destroy them. So the chance of you seeing one of those again, not too good, but there's a bulletin all the way back to October of '85. So, let's keep going here. Talked about the clean strips, the safety glass, taxi partitions. So, if you're inspecting one of the 4,300 taxis in Pennsylvania that are registered, and they do happen to have a partition inside, guess what? The partition, or for that fact, the Mercedes Maybach that has the glass partition. So, Table 7 lists the types of glass, AS1 and AS10. So again, the bulletproof glass or the normal AS1. So it has to be approved safety glass. You can't just use a piece of rigid plastic. Is Uber going to see that? Who knows? They're not taxi cabs in Pennsylvania. So, sunroofs and convertible tops. That's another one we're going to talk about here. There's, sunroofs. We also have sunroofs. So we list the on Table 7, back publication 45. You cannot just put a piece of plexiglass in a sunroof. There has to be an AS1 through AS11 type glass in there. Okay? And by the way, the police don't regulate the window tint on the sunroof. Okay? Also, back window of a convertible, not plastic. Again, there's a requirement here for AS1 through AS11. So if you have your sunroof or your convertible top repaired and they say, you know what, that back glass is all fogged out, you want to make it look nice, we'll put a plastic one in for you, it's illegal. It has to be an AS1 through AS11 rating on that. So don't pass it for safety inspection. So every window has to be an approved safety glass. Table 7 tells you what the codes are for the safety glass that they could use. Okay? Two other things I want to hit on quick here with the windshield. So, I told you we could use window tint, and we do have to inspect for this in Pennsylvania. This is the only place we check for window tint. So if we look at our windshield from 3 inches up, so if you got your ruler and you measured 3 inches from the top down, you cannot have anything below that mark. We call it a tick mark or the AS1 mark. You can't have anything below that. So if you do have something up in that area for the purpose of inspection, it has to be transparent. So you can't have window tint up here. Doesn't matter what the percentage is for inspection. It has to be transparent. But 3 inches is the max. So you can't have a big white cutout sticker up there that you cannot see through. It has to be transparent. Okay? So back window. Let's look at the back window here. It's the same scenario. The back window could only have 3.5 inches from the bottom. So you could put a big sticker across the back window on the bottom. It doesn't have to be transparent. So it could be a big sticker on the bottom. It can't be more than 3.5 inches from the bottom of the window. So, great information here on glass, on tint. Again, we're only talking about inspection procedure. We talked about the critical area. We talked about the acute area. I showed you my tool. Okay. Rigid plastic. Remember that term? We're going to talk about that when we get into utility trailers or recreational trailers. Stone chip. I told you, don't cut the glass. Clean sweep strips and safety grooves, bulletin. You'll probably never see those. Taxi partition. So if you're inspecting one of those 4,300 taxis that are registered in Pennsylvania, make sure it has a safety approved partition in the center. I haven't seen an Uber one yet. Okay. Sunroofs, we talked about the sunroof. Make sure it's safety glass. Same thing with the back glass in a convertible top. Window tint, it's not part of Pennsylvania inspection. And that's all we have for today. Have a wonderful day. Reach out to me again at YouTube or at SeriusAutoTraining@yahoo.com. My name's Terry Rooch, and have a wonderful day.